Hello, I'm excited to share some of the features of our digital platform for Liz Coe's Anatomy and Physiology text. A couple of things about the text. The text is fully mapped to HAPS learning outcomes. It has a unique chapter one, which is called The Art and Science of Learning, which is intended for learner support to teach the students the skills and strategies needed for anatomy and physiology. And so the idea behind it was to guide them to build those mastery learning skills. And Dr. Coe's students actually helped write the study tips in each chapter. So those are written by actual former students of hers. And then inclusivity and diversity was always in mind when writing this text. She wanted to use a diverse range of images and models that you'll see in the text, and then pairing average values for clinical examples with comparable data when applicable, so that there's a more well rounded view of different people's characteristics when looking at medical conditions. So let me take you through the MindTap. This is the student view and the instructor view. So we have the same interface for both. This is our MindTap platform. I'm just going to show you how each chapter is organized the exact same way. So I'll just take you through chapter 19, the heart. So we'll go down there. So when you click into the chapter, it's always going to start with the reading, and then we have three folders. We have learn it, study it, and apply it. So then I'll show you those. And at the very bottom of the MindTap, we have virtual labs, human body and system models for students, and then cadaver dissection videos. So you can also assign those if you'd like to. All right, so in chapter 19, after the reading, the learn its are intended to be 15 minutes or less to apply concepts in an interactive and engaging way for students. They often have these 3D models that they have to manipulate in order to answer questions. So I'll show you what that looks like. So here's the first learn it cardiac cycle assignment. And you can customize everything in the MindTap, whether you want it graded or just as practice, if you want it hidden, whatever you want. It's all customizable. So here's the heart model, the cardiac cycle. So I'm going to actually open it in a new tab just because I like to see it bigger. So it's going to give them a summary of the cardiac cycle, and then it's trying to give them directions for what to do to manipulate it to answer questions correctly. So they want students to identify a single cardiac cycle in the video. You can slow it down to do this. And it's asking them to click certain parts, hide certain parts, fade them, whatever it might be. So I'll show you what that means over here. So I just clicked the aorta. I can hide it. So I completely take it away, manipulate it here. Look at it. I'll click it again. I will fade it so that it's still there. I know where it's supposed to be, but I can kind of see through it to see the other parts of the heart. And then I can also isolate it if I want to observe the aorta itself. So there are a couple of things you can do. You can draw on this. You can search different terms if they need to look up vocabulary for what that might mean. So this is all part of our Learn It folder, kind of these mini concept checks in an engaging way, 15 minutes or less. So they would complete the multiple choice. Sometimes there's a drop down, and they would submit that. All right, so there's 3 here. Next comes our Study It folder, and so we're going to have our flashcards here for them to use, and then mastery training. So in each chapter, the mastery training is going to take that chapter's vocabulary and concepts, and it's going to put them all in multiple choice questions for them to answer. And so here there's 12 for chapter 19. They're going to submit their answers and then keep going. And so what it's going to do at the end of these 12, it's going to tell them how many they got correct. Say they got only 5 correct, 5 out of 12. They would have to redo the ones that they got wrong. And so the idea is they need to master these vocabulary and concepts within each chapter by repetition. So repeating these questions, making sure they understand it when they're studying. And then finally, we have our apply it folder. We're going to have quizzes and case studies and then practice tests if you'd like those as well. So here I'll show you an example of a case study. This one's about a heart attack. I'm going to start that. So it's going to give them an example. This is Calvin, a 65-year-old Black man who has type 2 diabetes and uses tobacco. He has hypertension, high cholesterol. So it's going to give his whole profile. It's going to ask some questions specific to Calvin. What tissue layer is affected by the heart attack? It's going to have them read the EKG. It's going to give them his blood cell counts and understanding what that might mean. So that is an example for our heart chapter, but there's going to be a case study in each of the chapters for students to kind of apply it in an authentic, real world way. All right, so that's basically what our chapters look like. Again, we have the 3 folders. We have the Learn It's, which are those interactive 3D models that they have to answer questions about. They have Study It with flashcards and mastery training, and they have Apply It with quizzes, case studies, and practice tests. And then at the bottom, like I said, you have virtual labs that you can assign as well. And so these are very similar to the 3D models in the Learn It folder. They are just a different type of lab. So here is one on the senses. You can see it's broken into 5 parts. Here in part 2 is going to be our model. Okay, so this is about the ear, it looks like. Okay, so it's going to show me basically how we hear, how sound goes through the ear. I can manipulate it and then go through the lab, the virtual lab, the way it wants me to. All right, please let me know if you have any questions.